Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be when the smear campaign fails. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So the smear campaign, yes, this is another term, another definition that you have learned in the glossary on the narcissistic abusive cycle. The smear campaign, when you were a child, was something that was called when somebody would be spreading a rumor about you. But now that you're an adult, you understand this is taken to a whole new level. Again, I shared this in a video recently. When you were a kid, what mattered to you is what mattered to you, and everything was really important, just like when you're an adult. The thing is, the stakes are much higher when you're an adult, and when somebody smears your name and says things that aren't true about you, that is very, very debilitating. And the narcissist does this. They've been doing it throughout their whole lives. They probably were the people or the students or the children that you were playing with when you were younger that were telling fibs about you or spreading rumors about you. Think about it. It's probably the same people, or maybe not the same person, but it's the same dark energy force or energy source. Because just like in that playground, the narcissist or the toxic kid, whatever you want to call them, they were looking at you and they tried to bully you and pick on you, and they probably sensed that you were a kind, loving, healthy, empathetic, loving, beautiful little kid, and that rolled on in throughout your life, through high school, college, university, and then you met the narcissist, and here we are as adults. So now, when the smear campaign fails, this will happen, and it happens way more than you may think. First of all, the smear campaign was going on long before you knew what the term was. From the minute you met the narcissist, I can assure you the smear campaign was going on. Yes, this does include if you were born into a narcissistic family. Let's say it was one of your parents, or maybe it was a brother or sister. Well, were they happy for you to be you? No, they weren't. They were trying to extinguish your beautiful, bright, shining light. They were trying to keep you in the dark. They didn't want you to figure out how powerful and how strong you were. This is why you probably, when you were a child, and let's say that you were brought up in the narcissistic family, you probably were the white sheep or the black sheep, which meant you did everything. You did what was asked of you and so much more, because your parents knew that you could take it on. And at the same time, let's say that your sibling was the narcissist, well, they also knew that that child, they weren't going to do anything. So they put more pressure on you, knowing that you wouldn't quit, knowing that you would always do the right thing, etc. That's one example of how a child could be raised in a narcissistic family, which means you, the white sheep or black sheep, the glue that kept the family together, if you will, you were treated completely different than your sibling, who was probably given a pass. They probably had no boundaries or no curfew or etc. They did whatever they wanted to do. And that was the parents, your parents probably looked or turned a blind eye and just let them do whatever they wanted. This is how the narcissist is developed. This is how the narcissist is created. This is why in every narcissistic family, there are multiple sets of rules for virtually everybody that's in the family. Now, getting back on track, as I mentioned, when the smear campaign fails, this has been going on for such a long period of time. You now know that there have been people that have been envious of you and jealous of you throughout your whole life. You didn't know what narcissism was because you weren't taught this in school, and you couldn't wrap your head around how somebody could actually want to tear you down, or how somebody could actually spread falseness or rumors or flat out lies about you. Well, again, this is in the narcissist's wheelhouse. This is what they do. It's how they pump up their fragile ego. It's how they get people to go against other people and turn relationships on other people. It's how they drive wedges between people. It's how they drive wedges between people's clarity, their perspective, what they do, what they don't do. Will they attend the event? Won't they attend the event? Will there be more and more smearing going on? Well, we now know that the solution to the smear campaign, and this is not one size fits all, but I can assure you this will help you out. First of all, if you're experiencing the smear campaign, my heart goes out to you. Second of all, if you experienced it, you know what I'm talking about. And third of all, if you know what narcissism is, and by now you probably have a very good grasp of what the narcissist is and what they do and how they do it and why they do it, you now understand that the smear campaign is one of the tactics and or the manipulating techniques that they administer all throughout the body of that relationship, and definitely at the end of that relationship to paint you in whatever light they wanted you painted. Maybe they said that you had substance abuse. Maybe they said you weren't the best parent. Maybe they said you were lazy. Maybe they said that you didn't go to work, or maybe they said that you didn't do anything around the house, etc. Whatever they did, this was part of the smear campaign. Now remember, when you were in that relationship with the narcissist, you were putting out the fires that the narcissist was starting on purpose. You were a people pleaser probably. You certainly were an empath, kind, loving, stable, healthy person, and you were committed to that relationship. No matter what relationship it was, maybe it was a parental relationship, maybe it was a sibling, romantic relationship, colleague, coworker, maybe it was a neighbor or person in a hobby group or community that you are and or were a part of. But whatever you were a part of, if the narcissist was in that relationship with you or in the environment and they knew who you were, they did their best to drive a wedge between you and anything that mattered to you, because they are envious, they are jealous, and they don't want other people to excel. They don't want other people to be themselves. This is why at their core, the narcissist is a coward and a bully, and they're shallow and hollow, and they're anxiety riddled, and they are so envious of people. This is why they spend so much time on their smartphones, plural, looking and searching for the next new shiny object, looking for other ways to manipulate people, looking at comparing what they have or don't have, and trying to figure out a way to get what they do want or to get more of what they do want. This is why when you're in a narcissistic relationship, there's no such thing as stability. There's no such thing as common ground or working towards something. All you have in the narcissistic relationship is division. You have manipulation. You have deceit, destruction, dishonesty, disdain, all the negative adjectives that I mentioned. That's what encompass the narcissist. Because remember, you are a beautiful, bright, shining light. The narcissist saw that. They captured you and your energy and everything about you for a period of time, which was the length of the relationship. And the whole time they were doing that, they were trying to inject all of their toxicity into you so they could extinguish you, or so that you wouldn't shine as bright as you have, and certainly as bright as you will in the future. But this is why the narcissist looks for empaths. This is why they look for people who don't know their worth. This is why they look for people who are vulnerable, and for people who are new in the community or new on the job site or new on the social media platforms, etc. This is why the narcissist is crawling all over dating apps. This is why they're crawling all over the interwebs. This is why they make so many fake accounts. This is why they keep the enablers and the flying monkeys fed with all of the smear campaign to fuel those people, essentially to continue to swarm you, whether you know it or not, or hover around you, whether you know it or not, to keep you trapped. This is what the narcissist has been doing. This is what the narcissist will always do, and it's what they will do in the future. Because the narcissist is full of negativity. And what they want to do is they want people to pump up their fragile egos. They want people to believe in the mask. They want people to believe in the smear campaign. They want people to believe in the words of the narcissist. And keep this in mind. This is a very important piece to the smear campaign. And believe me, it will fail. The people that are paying attention to the smear campaign and listening to the false words or the false narrative or rhetoric of the narcissist, if none of those people checked in on you and said, hey, I'm hearing some things about you, or I'm hearing some things that maybe you did or didn't do, like what's going on there? If they checked in on you, well, then they could formulate their own opinion and make their own decision. But I can assure you nobody did that, because they're drinking the Kool-Aid. They're drinking the special sauce. They're believing in the mask of the narcissist. And when somebody is saying that you are not a good person or flat out lying about you, and you don't know this is going on, you can't defend it. You don't know any better, because in your mind you were thinking, why would somebody smear my name? Why would somebody spread lies about me? Well, now you know that's what the narcissist does. They were doing it before they met you. They did it when they met you and when they were with you. And they did it after they met you, and they're doing it right now. The narcissist, whenever they get called out, or whenever somebody figures out and they put two and two together and they figure out that the smear campaign wasn't true, they only do one of a couple things. One, they will reach out to somebody and say, wow, I'm sorry about that. I misread the situation, and wow, it wasn't you. You are the person I thought you were. And your ex or whoever it was, the person who was saying bad things about you, they were the guilty one. Guess what? That's not going to happen anytime soon. So we need to throw that out the window. The second thing that will happen is maybe the person that was consuming the smear campaign, maybe they finally see one too many cracks in the mask of the narcissist, and they finally do put two and two together, but they don't do anything because they don't want to be targeted, or they don't want the narcissist to know that they know what's going on. That is most likely. Or number three, maybe this person will say something to the narcissist, but guess what happens if that happens? That's right. Boom, their life's going to go sideways because they will be targeted. So understand, the smear campaign has always been going on. It always will go on. The only way you remove yourself from the smear campaign is when you become small. You go no contact, you block the narcissist, you delete them, remove them, and all flying monkeys and people associated with them. And anyone who's believing in the smear campaign that didn't check in on you, and that is a very long list of people, well, they just vetted themselves. They weeded themselves out. Now, I know that's a tough pill to swallow. That's not what you want to hear, but that's how it works. Because if you are trying to defend the smear campaign, all you're doing is you're adding fuel to the fire. You're fanning the flames, if you will. You're defending something that shouldn't be defended because it's not true. And this is what the narcissist wants. The narcissist wanted you to go down in the mud with them, to go down in that low vibrational quagmire state and engage with them. This is why they're always trying to poke people. This is why they smear people's names. This is why they lie about people. This is why they gaslight people, stonewall them, give them silent treatment, blame shift them, triangulate them, throw rage fits on them. They're looking for a reaction. They're looking for one moment when perhaps you, and maybe you did this, you experienced reactive abuse. Well, we now know that reactive abuse is the culmination of one person being in a relationship for a period of time, which was a long period of time, and you're being poked and prodded, and eventually something had to give, something had to break, something had to snap, and you probably stood up for yourself. Maybe you raised your voice and said something you shouldn't have said. Well, that's what the narcissist was waiting for. And reactive abuse happens way more than you would think. Please, if you are on the cusp of experiencing reactive abuse, don't fall for it. It won't benefit you. It's what the narcissist has been working towards. They've been working towards putting you down in that low vibrational state where they exist. They've been working on pushing your buttons. So going back to the smear campaign, one of the first instincts that you will feel or you will want to do when you realize it's going on, specifically when the relationship has ended, although you could still be in it, is you're going to want to defend yourself and explain. My suggestion is to don't do either. It's to take the high road, do the right thing, realize that anyone that is listening to the smear campaign, most likely, they're either toxic themselves or they don't have your best interest at heart. But the smear campaign isn't true. There's no validity to it. There's no substance. There's no proof of you doing anything. This is why the narcissist slithers away onto new sources of supply. What they want to do is meet people, encounter them, who they believe is the next new shiny object. They want to trick people and trap them by wearing the mask, manipulate them, get whatever they can from them, discard them after a period of time, or crumble them up like a sheet of paper and throw them away in the freeway. Then they want to smear their name. Then they want to go on to the next supply, and so on, and so on, and so on. And this is what the narcissist is accustomed to doing. This is what they've always done. It's what they always will do. And you may say to yourself, well, wait, I know the narcissist. They've been married to somebody for 30, 40, 50 years. They don't do any of that. Well, think again. You're not in the household when they are going to bed at night. You're not in the household when they wake up. You don't know what goes on in between the four walls of that household. You have no idea. I can tell you one thing. If one of those people is a toxic narcissist, there is abuse happening day in and day out. And unfortunately for that person's spouse, it's been 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Well, it could be too late for them. I'm not saying it is, but the odds are they're so deep in the narcissistic fog that either A, they've become a toxic person themselves, or B, they don't see a way out of it. But either way you cut it, the smear campaign will fail. Now, you may say, well, the smear campaign that was administered on me, that didn't fail. So many people believed it, and they believed that I was A, B, and C, etc. I get it. I understand it. The thing is, it's not true. If it were true, then you could say, wow, you know what? I really made some mistakes, and I really was a not good person, etc. But that's not you. You gave to a fault. You did everything you could. And in the narcissist handbook, this is Narcissism 101. By design, they need to smear people. They smear anybody they possibly can, specifically if that person isn't around to defend themselves. Because the narcissist is a coward and a bully, and they're shallow and hollow, and there's nothing to them. The narcissist wants to manipulate as many people as they can, turn as many people against you as they can, drive as many wedges between you and anything that matters to you, which included your own children, your health, your hobbies, your work, your status, your bank account, your neighborhood, etc. They wanted to crush you and decimate you. But this is what they attempted to do. And the smear campaign was simply one more tactic in the narcissistic glossary and on the narcissistic abusive cycle. It's one more thing that they do. And it has been going on for a long time, I can assure you. You just didn't figure it out probably until the ending of the relationship. And then some people probably told you something like, hey, so-and-so said A, B, and C. And you're like, what? That's not true. And then they'd be looking at your reaction, and they'd be reading you, and they'd be saying, wait, maybe that isn't true. But then again, maybe they wouldn't be saying it. We don't know who people are these days. What we do know is once we've identified who the narcissist is, or toxic people in general, that's when we really need to insulate and protect ourselves and go no contact and block them and delete them and remove them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them. If not now, when? This is the path. It's what we must do. So don't fan the flames of the smear campaign. Don't believe in all the nonsense the narcissist is saying. People are going to believe whatever they believe. What the people that are believing in the smear campaign don't understand, and I've said this in so many videos and I'll say it again, is their life also will go sideways. And when it does, they better hope that they're 1/1000th as strong as you are. Most people aren't. The next thing they better hope is that they don't become a target of the narcissist, because anybody, and I mean anybody who is in the proximity or vicinity of the narcissist could be a potential target. Again, that includes their own children, their parents, their romantic relationships, friends, besties, colleagues, coworkers, neighbors, the people they work with, the people they work for, their clients. Anybody can become a target. And the next thing I would say is anyone that's drinking the Kool-Aid or listening to the smear campaign from the narcissist is, if you don't do your own homework and you don't do your due diligence and research as to what people are telling you, then what you are, unfortunately, is you're a sheep. Yes, you're a sheep, which means you can't make an educated, informed decision on your own. And shame on you. Yes, shame on you, because you don't get the message. And I'll tell you right now, it may be too late for you to get the message, because the narcissist hoodwinked you. They fooled you. They had you manipulated. They had you believing in the smear campaign. And by now that years have gone by, or perhaps decades, who knows, maybe you figured out that you too were targeted, or maybe you are the narcissist. Maybe you're a toxic person. But if you didn't check in on somebody after they were discarded or after that relationship ended, and you claimed to be a good friend of theirs or a support system of theirs, and you did nothing, you didn't lift a finger, shame on you. And you know who you are. And you are all over the globe. You people will get yours one day. Believe me when I tell you. Again, I don't wish ill will upon anybody. I never have, and I'm not going to start now. What I'm saying is, if you play with fire, you're going to get burned eventually. And back then, when we were in the narcissistic relationship, the people that are consuming the video, we didn't know what narcissism was. Now we do. Now we've become the educated empath. We have boundaries. We can say no, the strongest word in the English language, and we realize that we are the priority. We come first, second, and third. You see, we've gone through something and conquered something that you enablers and flying monkeys, you could never do in 1,000 years. We put ourselves back together. We dusted ourselves off, and we did it by ourselves without little support whatsoever. But we did it, and here we are. And now we've arrived at, or we are arriving at, the pinnacle of indifference, the mountaintop of indifference. That's a place where you people don't even know it exists, because you're too caught up in all of the smear campaign of the narcissist. And by now, probably multiple smear campaigns. And guess what? They're going on about you too. You just don't know it. Or again, like I said, maybe you're the toxic narcissist. Any way you cut it, the point is everybody's life goes sideways eventually. Everybody's. Mine has, yours I'm certain has, and other people's will too. So those that are way up top and they're sitting back and grabbing the popcorn and watching people's lives implode because they are fanning the flames of the smear campaign, basically they're the flying monkeys and enablers of the narcissist. Be careful. Be very careful, because your day is coming. I will tell you that right now. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Before I close the video, I want to let you know a couple things. One, the smear campaign, it goes on until it doesn't. Number two, eventually the smear campaign dries up and fades away, and I'll tell you why. Because there are other smear campaigns that will take its place, or there are other life events that will take place. And the narcissist doesn't always sit still. Sometimes they relocate, sometimes they get remarried, sometimes they meet another narcissist. Who knows what happens? The point being is, for a period of time, the spotlight was on you. And it was really on you very bright when that relationship ended. And that is when the smear campaign was in its fullest force. But now that time has gone by, my hope is the smear campaign has no life, because all those people, either their lives have gone sideways, unfortunately, or there's other smear campaigns going on, but the target and the focus isn't on you. That is why so frequently I suggest, if you have the ability to relocate, you should do it. If you have the ability to block the narcissist, you should definitely have already done that. And if you have the ability to drown out all toxicity from your life, you should do that. But above all, for this video, before I close it, is do not give the smear campaign any light or life. That's what the narcissist wants. They want you explaining, they want you defending, they want you giving more fuel to the flames of the smear campaign that they created out of thin air. Don't do it. It's never benefited you. It's never benefited anybody. And I'll tell you right now, the smear campaign of the narcissist, it will fail. You may say, yeah, I've been waiting the whole video for you to say, when is it going to fail, Andrew? I'll tell you when it fails. It fails when people stop giving it life. and stop believing in the falseness of the mask or the narrative of the mask. And when people actually open their eyes, stop being sheep, and they realize that the narcissist has hoodwinked them too. Maybe not the same level they manipulated you, but they too were drinking the Kool-Aid from the narcissist. They also were believing in the mask of the narcissist. You see, the narcissist doesn't care about anybody. They don't care about enablers, flying monkeys. They care about nobody. What they care about is what people will believe. And the smear campaign at one time had a lot of energy and had a lot of legs, and it did a lot of damage to you. It certainly did damage to me. But when you take the high road and you let it drown itself out, and the chips fall where they may, and you take the high road and do the right thing, it's the narcissist that all this will fall back on. And believe me when I tell you, it will fall back on them. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.